Okay, friends, today I will talk about the fundamental topic about marketing research, where I will basically cover the aspects of business research, research process, and problem definition. There are two things which you will commonly heard of. That is, what's the difference between a marketing research and market research? Marketing research is basically where you do research among various marketing mixes. Market research is where you do research for market, basically do research for consumers, competitors, government, and public. Okay, let me go further. Marketing research is a systematic and objective identification, collection, analysis, and use of information for the purpose of improved decision making related to the identification and solution of problems and opportunities in marketing. This was proposed by a very important definition proposed by American Marketing Association AMA. In this definition is a very important thing to note is it's a very systematic and objective function, because when you note this particular definition, marketing research will always be systematic. You have to go step by step, you can't skip any step. And secondly, for every method, every specific research, you have to go to a particular specific objective. You have to follow an objective in mind whenever you do any research. And whatever decision making you are doing for any research, you have to have an objective in mind. So while doing any research, it should go through a particular process: identification, then collection, then analysis, and then use. Then there's a very specific process which you normally go through, which is very systematic. That's why the definition says that marketing research is a systematic and objective identification, collection, analysis, and use of information for the purpose of decision making. This is being done for the pragmatic problem, not for extension of usage of existing knowledge. Okay, there are a few things which you need to understand before you go further in marketing research. Research information is neither intuitive nor haphazardly gathered. You cannot gather information based on your intuitions. Neither you gather information which is haphazardly gathered. You cannot go in systematic. You have to be systematic. You have to go step by step. Second, the business research must be objective. You must have objectives in mind. For every research, whatever you do in your product life cycle, for every stage of a product life cycle, in whichever stage you are, there must be objective in mind. There must be objective for which you are doing the research in. Third, whatever research you're doing, it should be detached and impersonal. It should be unbiased, not be biased by your personal intuitions. Last but not the least, it should facilitate the managerial decision making for all purpose of your business. So these are the four objectives should be kept in mind while doing marketing research. Okay, so when you see any research which is being done today's date anywhere in the world, it has been done for primarily two purposes. Primarily two kind of research has been done: a basic research and applied research. Basic research are those research which are primarily being done to extend the knowledge of any domain of subject. Applied research are those research which are basically meant for pragmatic problems or solving a problem, or actually being uh, uh, identifying an opportunity or grabbing an opportunity. Let me give an example, defining in a particular definition of each, and give an example of each by one. What is a basic research? It's an attempt to expand the limit of knowledge and not directly involved in solving a pragmatic problem. So it does not involve in solving a pragmatic problem. It just mean for expanding the knowledge which is already existing, and it's an extension of that knowledge. For example, these are the certain questions which are being posed in front of you. If I just extend the questions in front of you, these are the three questions posed. Are these questions directly or indirectly leading to profitability to your organization? Yes or no? I think it is no. If they are not leading to the profitability to your organization and they are actually being just a knowledge extension to understanding your knowledge about these uh, human mind, human knowledge, this is basically a basic research, which is just to do a basic extension of your knowledge. But when it to applied research, it is being conducted when a decision must be made about a specific real-time problem or an opportunity. It's a applied research. Let me give you an example here. Applied research examples here are these. If you take any of these examples, if you take any of these examples, either of these examples, if you take either taking a pricing decisions, distribution decisions, product decisions, or promotional decisions. So you're taking a decision which is leading to either of these, or promotional or marketing mix, tactical or strategic decisions you are taking. So it's making an impact on your marketing mixes. Okay, so let me go ahead. So till now, what I was talking about is difference between two type of research which you might do in this word, either basic research or applied research. Okay, when you have already identified what kind of research you do, so we will going to discuss, we will revolve around only applied research, whether you are you will think about whatever methodology you will use. It is irrespective of methodology, but we will revolve around applied research. Please ensure that this particular discussion, which we will going to do further, is only will focus on applied research, assuming that you are solving an applied or a pragmatic problem. There are four important aspects in any research which you always revolve around. Please remember these are the four important prerequisites when you conduct any research. And based on that, the depth and the breadth of research will always be remains depend upon. Let me repeat my sentence. The depth and the breadth of the research which you are going to conduct will depend upon these prerequisites. Time constants which are available, because in that time you are not going to take any decision. Any strategic or tactical decision you cannot take till your research is going down. So your time constant you have in the market, availability of the existing data, nature of decision whether it's a tactical or strategic, benefit versus cost analysis, that is benefit cost analysis. So let me just elaborate on this. Time constant. Is the sufficient time available before managerial decision must be made? Yes or no? If no, you can't go in deep in this research. That full research you cannot do. So based on that, depth and breadth will be decided. Second criteria, availability of data. Is the information, existing information is sufficient? Is not sufficient, then go for further research. Otherwise, go with the existing data. Third, nature of decision. Is the decision of the research is strategic? Is the decision leads to the research from the research is strategic or tactical in nature? If it is strategic, the research should be as deep as possible. If it is tactical, you may not need to go for as deep as possible. Last but not the least, benefit versus cost analysis. Does the value of the research information exceeds the cost of the benefit, cost of the connecting the research? Then it makes sense to go deep. If the value is not as higher to the cost, does not make sense to go as deep. So these four criteria give you enough idea exactly how deep you shall go, what should be the domain, what should be the dimension and the broader line of the domain of your research, depth and uh, breadth of your depth of your research criteria. This is I'm talking about the cost benefit analysis. Value. It increases the correct certainty, it increases the likelihood of correct decisions, it increases of course your performance and increases your profitability, but in the process. It also increases your expenditure, delay in your decision making also, and might in the lead give you opportunity for your rivals to take decisions, and might also certain time lead to incorrect results. So you need to know whether you are leading your value more than your cost, or whether you're leading to more cost than the value. That cost benefit analysis need to be made. Okay, this general snapshot of the general global business research, which you also need to be connected over time, certain times when you are going for global investments, certain scenario when you are going from one country to another country for instance. Okay, this is a very important aspect in marketing research. The iceberg principle. The principle says that the principle indicating that the dangerous part of many business problems is neither visible nor understood by the managers. As compared to in iceberg, the larger proportion of iceberg is submerged under the sea. You could not able to see the symptom of the problem. So if the symptom of the problem could not be seen, you cannot able to solve the problem. So what is the issue here is, till you do not solve the symptom of the problem, how can you solve the problem? I just give an example. If you could not able to identify the symptom, you do not solve the problem completely. Let us see while where I am heading for problem definition. Situation where you have not defined the problem properly. Issue is where you do not define the problem properly, how will you solve the problem? How will you go for problem solution? How will you go for research solution then? Suppose your 20-year-old neighborhood swimming pool association opened 20-year-old back in a major city. What is going on here right now in the fact is membership with your swimming pool association has gone down. New water park nearby with a wave pool and water slides have come into the town few years ago, and because of that or because of many other factors your membership is going down. Is the reason why it is going down? Now you are identifying the symptoms. Now what your intuition is going with, neighborhood residents preferred expensive water park and have negative image of swimming pool. What might come to you in your mind immediately might be that this water park might be snatching market share from you, from your swimming pool association. Probably, if you are not detaching yourself from the solution part or from the problem part, from the problem definition part, you might lead to this kind of situation, which is iceberg principle, because your symptom of the problem you have not defined properly, which might lead to solving the problem in a wrong manner, leading to wrong way of giving the treatment to the problem. The problem was demographic changes. Actually, the children who have grown old to the 20 years have different preferences than people who have grown old, who were 20-year old when they were 20-year old long back. That is, when they were cohort of 20-year old people who have grown old, they were having preferences, they were loyal to you, have grown old now. They do not swim at all now. Actually, that's the fact. Now they've grown old. The people after them, the new generation, they have different preferences. Now you have to resegment yourself. You have to define a resegment strategies, and you have to go with a refreshing criteria. So ultimately, what is happening is you might have identified the third quadrant. Oh, sorry. You might have identified the third column as a criteria, or you might have invested in the third column and you have gone the other way around and invested your time, energy, and your money in the third column rather than investing on the fourth column, which is non. That is why it is important to understand that the concept of iceberg principle. This is what is iceberg principle. That is, identify first proper symptom of the problem and then solving the problem. And based on that, define the research. So, there are two kinds of marketing research problems. What is problem identification research? If your problem definition is not been defined properly, then problem identification research need to be done. If your problem definition is not been defined, but if your problem definition is defined, then problem solving research. So there are various uh, aspects where you might see that problem definition is not properly being done, and there are options where the problem definition is done. There are situations where you need to take decisions like segmentation research, product research, pricing research, promotional research, distribution research. So we assume in our real life, in research, in this scenario, in our discourse, that we normally in situations, as a manager, we know in real life what the problem is, pragmatic problem is, and we normally go for problem solving research. So these are the possible research problems we normally go for, either segmentation research, product solving research, pricing research, promotional research, or distribution research. These are the few examples of companies who have gone for these kind of research solutions, like Walmart, FGI research for their second syndicated research done for product concept testing, Walmart and HSBC and Barclays done for segmentation research, Goldman Sachs and PricewaterhouseCoopers, McDonald's gone for product repositioning research. Similarly, experimental research also being done, and similarly, pricing research and advertising research also being done. So these are various kind of problem solving research can also be conducted. Okay, let me give a snapshot of various steps which you normally goes through in marketing research process. Suppose the problem definition is not being done. So to define the problem properly, you have various sources from where you can define the problem. One is environmental context of the problem. These are various sources of environmental context from where you can probably define the problem. One is past information and forecast, objectives, legal or economic environment, resources and constants, buying behavior of the customers, marketing and technological skills are the possible sources from where environmental sources from where you can possibly seek the sources for problem definition. Apart from that, you can also seek the help from decision makers and discuss with them. You can take an interview among experts opinion. You can do secondary data research. You can do qualitative research, which can also help you out along with the environmental scanning to define the problem. Now, problem defined can be divided into two parts. Managerial decision problem, which could be strategic and tactical, and marketing research problem, which is much more specific and much more broad, much more to the point. So marketing research problem leads to managerial decision problem. I will give an example of what do you mean by marketing research problem in later slides and what it leads to. And marketing research problem further divides into research objectives or research questions. And research questions could lead to model building. And model building is more like a framework, theoretical framework. Theoretical framework is a formation of various variables which are used in the theoretical framework, and various variables are tested out in terms of relationship of various variables could be tested out, and these variables are we try to test out with their relationship in the form of hypothesis. So we frame the hypothesis and their relationship, either positive or negative relationship, and the hypothesis being framed. And in their hypothesis formation, we test out their relationship. And then based on the hypothesis, we test it out, we frame our research design. Research design components are information required. The information required are the variables which we use. So variables will be here will be listed out. Information variable required which will be listed out here. Then type of research method which will be used in the research will be listed out. Whether it will be exploratory, descriptive or causal or all the three. Measurement and scaling procedures which will be used, which will be discussed in a separate session. And then construct and pre-test of questionnaire designing, sampling plan and DA plan. These are all the 6 to 7 components of research design. And executing the research plan, data preparation which includes coding and tabulation, data cleaning, data analysis, research finding and reporting. These are the various steps of research process. Okay, what is the research process? Research proposal is a written statement of a research design that includes a statement explaining the purpose of the study, prepared by a research agency, submitted to a client, exactly mentioning about the research methodology they are going to conduct in their research, and exactly how much is the time frame exactly and the expenditure going to be conducted in spent in that particular research. Okay, so I will give an example and then show you exactly how they differ. This is the difference between managerial decision problem and research questions. So you look from left to right. Left hand side is, should a new product be introduced? Should a new product be introduced? And the right hand side says that research problem, here it is, to determine consumer preferences and purchase intentions for the proposed new product. Now these are two variables are used here, consumer preferences and purchase intention. Now these two variables leads to new product introduction. I think if you answer the consumer preferences and purchase intention, it should be answerable to new product launch. So if somebody can able to answer me the consumer preferences and purchase intention, I will able to know that whether I will be able to launch new product or not. So what kind of research method I will use? Here I will use exploratory research followed by descriptive research, because exploratory research need qualitative research here. I require qualitative research here, followed by descriptive research, because descriptive research need to have generic information. Generic characteristics can be captured here. Okay, here I need to differentiate between what is the difference between exploratory, descriptive and causal research. Exploratory research is a research which is more suitable at a stage where we are defining the problem. Exploratory research primarily is of further two types: secondary data research and qualitative research. So it gives you very basic understanding of problem. Descriptive research is also of two types: survey and observation. Causal research primarily captures the impact of independent on dependent variable. So in this case, because you are determining the consumer preference and purchase intention, we are capturing the general insights of the consumer. So what I need is further qualitative research followed by general information. That's why I need descriptive research. Second question, managerial decision problem is, should advertisement campaign should be changed? So ad campaign is already running. So ad campaign here is a independent variable. Campaign effect on purchase. So campaign is an independent variable here. So I know that here it is a causal effect. So I want to know whether there is a causal effect is going on or not. So somewhere somehow I know causal research going to be conducted here. On the right hand side, to determine the effectiveness of the existing current ad campaign, I need to know. So obviously it should start with the so always know there is a thumb rule says that you should always start any research with exploratory research, because qualitative research or secondary data research is the starting point of every research. So start from exploratory research and then followed by causal research here. This is a different case here. Third question, managerial decision situation. Should the price of the brand be increased? Again, price is the independent variable leads to the demand for the brand or not. Again, it is the impact factor. Here again, it is a causal effect. To determine the price elasticity of the demand and the impact of sales and profit of various levels of price changes. So, impact of price on the demand. So again, it's a causal effect. So first you have to carry a exploratory research followed by a causal research here. So again, you have first defined the decision problem, then define the research problem. Based on that, you define the research design. That is what kind of exploratory research followed by descriptive research or causal research you have followed. You can clearly define the research methods here. Further, so let me give an example and further elaborate here in detail. It's a very interesting story of a particular departmental store project. And this is a very elaborative example. In a departmental store project, the marketing research problem here is to determine the relative strength and weaknesses of Sears, which is a departmental store, vis-a-vis other major competitors. I want to increase the market share of this company, which is my major decision problem. And problem definition is what is the relative strength and weakness compared to the competitor with respect to the factors that influence store patronage or store loyalty. The research should provide the information to the following. Now listen attentively and look to the questions given here. Questions given here are: what criteria do households use when selecting departmental stores? Now, criteria are very comprehensive in nature, very generic in nature. So I said there are situations where you are capturing the depth of the information. There are situations where you are capturing the uh, breadth of the information. So in exploratory research, there is something known as qualitative research. In a qualitative research, there are two or three kind of techniques which are used. Some techniques captures depth, some techniques capture uh, variety of information. Like FGDs, focus group interviews, captures variety of information. In-depth interviews and projective techniques captures depth of the information. Here criteria, what criteria do households use when selecting a departmental store? Some might having proximity, some might be having price, some might be having variety in a departmental store, some might be having ambience, some might be having cleanliness. So many criteria might be using while picking up a departmental store. So this criteria could be variety. So variety means not depth here. It's a variety. So that means I will not use depth here. I will use variety. In this case, FGD is more suitable. So FGD followed by descriptive research will be suitable research design here. Research design here. Second question related to first question. So I will club 1 and 2. Second question: how do households evaluate the Sears departmental stores and competing stores in terms of criteria identified in question number 1? Now criteria 1 say based on say proximity. How do you evaluate Sears on proximity compared to other stores with Sears? Again, the criteria you have already picked up. So on those criteria, how would you rate Sears? So already it is easy now. So those criteria once you pick up from uh, uh, FGD, now you can go to descriptive research. So again, in second question, descriptive research will be used. Third question: which store are patronized when shopping for a specific product category? Now this is a very interesting question. If you look at this question, what do you mean by this question? Which stores are patronized when shopping for a specific product categories? Now, what do you mean by this question? The question means that you are not patronizing a shop for all categories. You are patronizing a shop for a specific category only. So going to different shops for different categories. So again, this is a descriptive research which you're going to conduct in this particular question. Question number 4. What is the market share of Sears and its competitor for specific product categories? Do you need to conduct a primary research for this or a descriptive research for this? No, I don't think so. You need to go for a primary field research for this. You can get this all information from secondary data itself. So secondary data information or existing research available on the desk research or auditing reports or existing reports available can give enough data available for you for market research, market share of Sears and competitors. So you don't have to go for primary research or field research for this. So fourth question, not required, where you don't have to go for field. Fifth is where you can ask last number of questions you can go, where you can go to field. When you complete your questionnaire in your survey, you may ask questions about the demographic psychographic profile of the consumers in your questionnaire. Otherwise, this in existing literature also can give you some profile. But in the questionnaire also, you can get in the last profile. Last set of questions can also seek information about demographic psychography. Sixth question is an interesting question. Can store patronage and preferences be explained in terms of store evaluation and customer characteristics? This is a question of causal research because store patronage can lead to store evaluation, preference leads to customer characteristics. So it is a more like a causal research. So starting with the exploratory research leads to causal research. This is more like where you use this combination. So what I have started with, I have defined a problem definition. For each question I have defined it. These are the 6 questions, these are research questions, leads to different research methods. Okay. So research design components I have already discussed. The research design components are information variables, research methods, measurement and scaling, questionnaire designing, sampling plan, data analysis plan. Okay. So in research design, there are two kinds of research design which you have to opt from. Exploratory research design, conclusive research design. So why it is called as conclusive research design, and why exploratory is not known as conclusive research design? Because exploratory you can only explore the problem, you cannot conclude the problem. In conclusive, you can conclude, you can take decisions out of it. There are two types of conclusive: descriptive and causal. Descriptive, again, two types: cross-sectional and longitudinal. The difference between cross-sectional means, in cross-sectional the respondent should not be repeated again. In longitudinal, the same respondent will be repeated again and again and again. In cross-sectional, there are three types, not two types: single cross-sectional group, multiple cross-sectional group, and cohort. Let me define. These are a few sets of examples of the difference between, before I go further, of two: exploratory and conclusive. That is, for example, I already explained that exploratory provide insights and understanding. Conclusive gives you hypothesis and explain the relationship. Exploratory gives you information need in defining, only loosely define the information. Research process is very flexible and unstructured. Sample is very small in exploratory and non-representative. Analysis is primary analysis and very qualitative in nature. And findings are tentative and generally followed by a conclusive research. Conclusive research having their own hypothesis and examined with a relationship. And information needed is really clearly defined. Research process is very structured. Sample is quite large compared to exploratory and very representative. And data analysis is quite quantitative. And that is why it is known as conclusive research. And findings leads to this decision making. Okay. That leads to the final discussion of these are all discussed. The cross-sectional are of three types: single cross-sectional, multiple cross-sectional, and cohort. What are cohort? Single cross-sectional, first of all, is a one group cross-sectional design, which is one group where one member is only being repeated once. Multiple cross-sectional where more than one groups are being used or picked up, where one person is picked up only one from each group. Cohort is that people are those people, a cohort is a group of people responded who experience the same event within the same time period or been born the same time period. This is the example of cohort group of people. If you look at diagonally, these are the people look at diagonally in their age group. They have grown over the period of time, not on the row basis but diagonally. This is what is a cohort group of people. Longitudinal is on the longitudinal, same person is again and again. So, last part is I'm talking about the evaluation criteria difference between what is the advantage and disadvantage between what is a longitudinal design and why longitudinal, in which cases longitudinal design is a better over cross-sectional, and in which situation cross-sectional design is a better over longitudinal design. Longitudinal design is better where you want to detect change. Longitudinal design capture depth. Accuracy is very high in longitudinal design, yes. But sampling is very high in cross-sectional design because sampling is very small in longitudinal design. Response biases obviously is high in longitudinal because the same respondent is again and again repeated. Is very low in response biases in cross-sectional. Okay.